Also, as an organization, we decided to make an effort in COVID period, because a lot of companies had to downsize or not. We said, okay, we're not going to hire, and we're going to make adjustments on our budgets to ensure we can keep the same amount of people in the organization, or the people in the organization, for as long as we can. So we decided to make a commitment for that. So, for example, instead of letting 10 people go, we reduced the marketing budget, or we decided to phase out a product earlier that was actually making us lose money, or we became creative with grants and funds. So that's some of the things that we did in order to stay true to our idea of that our first priority is to keep people safe within this period. Now, having said this, there's a couple of things about pacing. So what we noticed is that we actually made a transformation on the second quarter. So around April, May, we decided to go down and revisit our why, because we found that it is a great period that sales are slowing down and we cannot do much about it. We decided to actually revisit our mission, positioning, competitive analysis, product fit, product awareness, brand equity. We had to do a whole review of how we are in the market, and from our customers, what they like and what they like to see more of, what they were missing. That was a great transformation. But one thing we noticed that we ask a lot from the organization. So sometimes pace matters. And when you are trying to do all this change management online, it's better to have a really clear plan and structure on how change is going to happen, because people can only cope with so many changes in the short run. So within 3 months, we changed our positioning to market. We adjusted our software roadmap. We adjusted our hardware roadmap. We adjusted departments, created new departments, and all within 3 months. That's the beauty of digital remote. We could do this all remotely through webinars, etc., without slowing the pace. However, we did notice that we exhausted people, and a lot of people had to work a lot overtime because they had a challenging time leaving the office and being at home. So that's something we learned, and now we are investing more on asking people for breaks. We are asking people for open FAQs, and we are now being more attentive with the managers to ask, does our organization need acceleration or needs a break? And we are balancing out. And we actually talk about the pace. So, for example, Q4 is normally the highest period of intensity for the company. So in the last 1 week, for example, and on Monday, we have a town hall. We are talking about pace. We are saying, everyone, Q4 is the hardest pace of all. Please make sure, if you want, take a holiday. We are actually giving an extra day off to say, take a long weekend. If anyone wants to take Thursday and Friday off within the next 1 month, do it. So that you can be energized, or at least gain some level of energy for what's coming ahead. No days off given by the company. Just check with your manager. So we are doing that in a way of keeping the breaks essential to make sure that people are invested on it. I already talked about the onboarding. One thing we noticed was the celebration and acknowledgement of the pace. So we opened up a whole open recognition board. I don't know if I have a picture here, but we basically opened up a board where everyone can recognize openly to the company people that help them out, so that we focus on gratitude and not just challenges. And then we start thinking about, the traditional thing, 20% of our investment of efforts are the ones that give 80% of the return on investment. So we just did a whole analysis on the project that make the biggest impact.